Oklahoma State is not playing games, man, when it comes to this visitation list. Several guys ranked extremely high on threes rating, high 90s, high 80s. I'm totally blown away by this.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, what is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome back into Locked On Oklahoma State, baby, where we're talking Pokes football in the transfer portal style again today. And I appreciate you guys so much for all the support. Gained a lot of new followers on X, gained a lot of new people over on my channel, Locked On West Virginia as well. And I would ask if you are watching this to please go over to Locked On West Virginia today and just hit that subscribe button for me. It would mean a lot to me. It's all I ask. I don't want anything else. It would mean a lot to me once you get done watching this video. Thanks for making Locked On Oklahoma State your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Pokes, every single day. And look, guys, we're going to be here every single day. I don't know, what you expected from me, but I'm a very dedicated, I'm a hard worker, even though I'm, clearly like to indulge in the food, but I am the kind of person that I have a really hard work ethic. So you'll see me here a lot. Now I can't burn myself out, but I'm working hard on, as hard as I can. So I appreciate you guys for all the support. Like I said, man, and let's dive into this because this is insanely impressive. I got to say with Eric Morrison crew right now, this episode of Locked On Oklahoma State going to be brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, usually we talk about $5 that'll make you holla, but not this time. We're talking about something else that they have going on right now. And look, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during the NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You won't regret that. All right, so we had begun to talk about, yesterday some of the visitors. We've mentioned some of these guys yesterday, so we are going to go over some of the same names. Mostly, I want to talk about the totality of this list. We're going to talk about the player ratings attached to some of these guys because some of these dudes are just really highly rated guys. Drew Mestamaker, Caleb Hawkins, but not only just them. You guys have got several guys rated in the 90s that you're going after. Which makes me a little depressed when I look at some of the guys we're attached to over in Morgantown right now. And West Virginia is going a lot more quieter about this than Eric Morrison Company. Was talking to a guy who covers the team, North Texas, and he said they just, would hand him the list of guys that they're going after. They were never really hit it. So maybe he'll change as he's in Stillwater because Power 4 is a little different. But I do think that it's been frustrating for me to see. Not that I'm rooting against you guys at all. I'm not. I'm happy for you guys. But, as a West Virginia guy, too, it's like, man, where are the Mestamakers and the Hawkins on our list? And, I know we have similar money, if not a little higher than you guys. So, like they were telling me, somebody I was talking to earlier was telling me, I think we're going about this a little more quietly. But this isn't about West Virginia. This is about Oklahoma State. And certainly, I think if you're going to look at the list, obviously I put them on the thumbnail, right, for a reason. And that's very simply because I view, we know about the Mestamaker, we know about the Hawkins, right? So I thought, well, we'll start out with a couple guys that will get fans really, really excited, right? So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and just go over the list. We're going to start with Mestamaker because he's at the top of the list as far as ranking goes. And as the on-3 rating goes down, that's how we'll go down the players as well. But the two guys that I want to talk about really are obviously the Texas guy and the UCLA guy. We'll get there in just a second. Let's just go down the list to talk because part of the show is also the rankings or the rating on 3 is attached to these players. You start with Drew Mestamaker. A 96.93, that's a really elite. That's close to 5 stars, if not 5 stars. Maybe it is 5 stars. But 6'4", 210 pounds. We know what he did. 34 touchdowns, 9 picks, 4,400 yards passing, an elite player, elite arm angles. I think he's, I was watching some tape on him yesterday. The more I watch of him, the more he reminds me of Aaron Rodgers in some ways, the way he manipulates his arm, and also his mobility is similar to Rodgers, a young Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so obviously Caleb Hawkins as well, right? We can't go much further without getting to him. A 95 rated player, 95.97 rated player, and the running back is obviously highly sought after. He's one of the ones on the list that, I think is still kind of up in the air. He's being chased by a couple other programs, Oklahoma and others. I do think you guys have a shot at him still, not just a shot, a very good shot, but it does seem like some other teams are really chasing him hard. And, maybe he gets an offer that he can't refuse. I'm not sure, but either way, I think you guys will be okay. Wyatt Young is rated at a 93.08 per on 3, 6'1", 185. We know what he did last year, 1,200 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, 18 yards per catch. How will that translate into the Power 4? We don't know, because he's certainly more of a possession type player. Don't think he'll average 18.5 yards per catch at the Power 4 level, but I do think he will be a possession type receiver, really tough to handle, and those type of things, because he's he's not necessarily a burner, but at the end of the day, man, he gets open. And sometimes, people wondered how Jerry Rice got open, because he wasn't exactly quote unquote a burner either. Sometimes guys have elite stop start and know how to play with. You ever see a great point guard that can change speeds really well, or like a pitcher that goes from off speed to full speed? It's the same thing with running routes. You can start out a route jogging and then hit the gas on it, and then right before you get to the top of your route, you slow down and then you speed back up again. And so you can do things to people, even if you're not an elite long speed type guy, that can get you open. Fourth ranked guy on your list is offensive tackle Braden Nelson, and for good reason. He didn't allow a sack last year. 6'4", 320 pounds, 90 rated as far as on 3 is concerned, and definitely deserving of the score. Really good player. I think he's an all-conference caliber. He anchored an offensive line that was an elite scoring unit out of Kilgore, Texas. I'm breaking him down a little more because we haven't talked about him yet. He's got functional mass, man. If you look at him, what I mean by that, he's got good bend. He's got proportional power, though, for a guy that is 6'4", 320 pounds. And he plays tackle well. I don't know if he'll move inside in the Big 12 or not, but he's built for run game displacement, and he holds up well versus bigger edges. He's got experience in a system that stresses tempo, and you got to be consistent in a system that stresses tempo. In other words, low penalties, and he has low penalties. If you look at what scouts are saying about him, listen, he was one of the best linemen on an offense that's finished number 1 in scoring in the AAC and others. So, he's got to be having a stamp of approval, and I agree. He's a ready-made portal tackle, that's got this high rating. He plays a premium position, which gives him premium value. I project him to be a starter, very, very least a high-end swing guy. Let's say he doesn't translate all the way or something for some reason. I still think he'll be your 6th offensive lineman, a guy that comes in and plays 20 snaps a game, or something like that. But it's absolutely, worth keeping. Grant Segrin, 89.57. Obviously, if I had to choose between the two, I'm taking Grant because he's done it. But he's not rated higher, which is pretty wild when you think about it. To think that the guy at the group of 5 level who's never played against Big 12 competition and Braden Nelson is ranked higher than Grant Segrin. But, I mean, it's like you're splitting hairs between them. One's a 90.62. Grant Segrin's an 89.57. I'll take Segrin just for what it's worth. You guys know I've broken him down before. He's got elite size. He's got a tackle frame. He's proven himself at the Power 4 level. He's a system fit because he played in the Gundy offense, which is very similar to an Eric Morris offense. He's an academic guy as well, great academics. He's got discipline. And when you look at him on the offensive line, he was one of the bright spots of this team last year. And can you at least have one or two holdovers that you can feel good about, as you guys have just been hemorrhaging good players from last year, even though maybe not a good team. Bad teams have good players on them all the time. It's just they're not on good teams with each other. So I think Segren's a guy, at the very top of the list of those you want to keep, no doubt about it. Colin Lewis, the corner from North Texas, is rated an 89.20, 5'11", 170 pounds. By the way, these are all visiting. If I didn't mention that, all visiting North Texas. So, definitely something to keep in mind when you're looking at this, because I think, you guys are swinging at all of them, man. All of them. So very exciting for you guys. I think you're doing a great job. So, his role on that scheme was definitely playmaking. He really was, and really as a cover man type profile. He's a lighter cornerback build, but man, I think his transition should be fine. When you look at him, 5'11", 170 is now these days, 5'11" is like maybe a little undersized for a corner, which is crazy. 5'11" used to be the standard 10 years ago. Now it's 6'1". But guys, there are guys that are 5'11" that can play, but you can mismatch them with really big receivers and tight ends, and that's where it kind of gets a little fishy. So depending on what he does, if he plays strictly outside, it's a little tougher to do. But even then, big wide receivers are hard to guard, even if you're 6'3" or 6'4". I think he'll be useful in press ball and off-man looks due to his size and speed. He certainly got the rating right, and on three, he's making a statement by rating him that as an inside strong corner. And I like him as well. I think he's a guy that can come in and absolutely be a day one starter. He brings that culture with him, and why wouldn't he? As he is a kid that can really play. Another visitor you have coming in is Iverson Hooks, obviously the UAB transfer. We'll talk about him in just a second. We'll go to break first, as we have just like 5 or 6 more guys to get to. Stick around. This is Locked On Oklahoma State. Of course, we can't go anywhere without talking about our friends at Rougiet College. And with Rougiet, guys, we know it's pretty simple with them, right? It's what they want. They want to get men to open up in this world. But let's be honest, man. Most men don't bring up their feelings, but maybe they should. Stress from work, money, and life, it doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rougiet Ready is designed to help you take that back control. Rougiet is on next generation prescription treatment, created to support both the brain and body. So that way you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rougiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue, so it absorbs fast. And if you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rougiet.com/LockedOnCollege for RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. That's Rougiet Ready, where you can feel present, feel confident, and feel ready. And we're back here in segment 2, where I always crack open this dew, as you guys know, which is what I've been told is a very West Virginia thing to do, and I like to lean into it. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff, man. My mouth gets so dry. Just gabbing. Okay, so Iverson Hooks, as you guys know, will be visiting, I think on the 5th. I'll have to go back and look. But he is an 88.89 rated player. And, he's obviously extraordinarily productive. 72 catches, closed it on 1,000 yards last year. An elite player, a starter for sure. If he comes in as a wide receiver, he's going to line up at the Z, which is also the slot. He's valuable in motion. You can play him on kick return. He's a speed and space type wide receiver archetype, which means he's got speed, but you can also get him in space, right? And that means you attack grass and get him in, in the typical vertical or yak type situations where he can just make plays. He's the type of guy I think would be an absolute starter, heavy rotational player for Oklahoma State. Now we get to one of the big visitors that is kind of new, and I apologize. On my list, for some reason, I didn't have him up at the top. And I whenever we started the show, I guess I was just struggling to find him in the list of all these guys. But I meant to start the show with these guys' names, but it doesn't really matter. He's rated an 88.14 from Texas, Connor Stroh. And just like Segrin, he's done it in the SEC. So, even though he's played, I think maybe 5 or 6 games, you can see this dude is an absolute freak of nature. He's actually on Feldman's freaks list. 6'7" is a large human being, 350 pounds, just an immensely huge dude. 88.14 rated guy, like we said. And, if you look in the Texas roster bio, he played 10 games, started 5 of those games on a team that was ranked as high as top 10 in the country, top 5 in the country. He was a 3-star guy coming out, but he did have that freaks list background. He has a massive frame and anchor. He does not get pushed around in pass rushing situations. Maybe you can beat him with speed, but you're not going to just bull rush him back into the quarterback. He is really tough to move in pass pro sets, and his technique is tight. I mean, it really is. And then when it is tight, he's hard to move as well. He's got experience starting for Texas in meaningful reps, like we said. And, his positional flexibility in the Big 12, maybe he moves into the interior. I don't know. I mean, he could be a guard, depth, or potentially a depth piece, but I see him as a starter for you guys for sure. Unless you guys bring in just a ton of elite offensive linemen. But, I think he's rated at an 88. I mean, that's pretty high. I would be surprised if he wasn't a starter on this Oklahoma State team, considering you guys are in a rebuild, and a guy this rating, with this size, with some experience in the SEC. I mean, you're happy to have that. Absolutely. So, scouts, if you look at what the scouts and coaches say about him, they said he, what I read about the evaluation of him coming out, high floor interior guy that has going to start his career at a blue blood, and absolutely tracks as a guy that if he puts it all together can be a day 2 NFL draft pick, potentially even further. Has good bend for a guy that's 6'7" as well. And like I said, projecting as a starter, at worst, top 6 guy. And once again, we mentioned he was on that freaks list. So, and I apologize. It's not Feldman's freaks list. It's the 247 freaks list. So I do apologize for that. An 87.48 rated corner in Dante Lovett, who is a top 5 rated corner in the portal as of right now, 6 feet, 195, played in all 13 games for Virginia Tech in 2023, played for DeMatha Catholic, Maryland, which I know a lot about. DeMatha is a powerhouse, guys. Think they're one of those schools that have always got 4- and 5-star players, right? I mean, it's just what they are. One of the best high schools in all of Maryland. Rarely do they get outside of Maryland, to be honest. So they're usually in, Virginia. Sometimes the SEC schools will crawl down in there and get them. But for the most part, they end up at Penn State, places like that. But nice job for Virginia Tech to get him and bring him a little bit further this way where I live. But yeah, absolutely a good player. Physical frame, he played 195 pounds, which gives him really good size for tackling and run support. And if you look at his play speed on tape, oh Lord, this dude can fly around. I really love his overall profile, and he's actually got some NFL draft buzz. Especially last year when he was at Virginia Tech, they thought he was coming into a big year, and unfortunately, I think an injury derailed that. But he is long, he is athletic, he's got the height, speed, and weight profile that you're looking for in a corner. So if he's a guy that comes in Oklahoma State, you look at him, he's absolutely going to be one of your 2 starters on the outside. Number 9, a guy that's already played at North Texas as well in the past, Ayo I wonder how I say this last name. I don't want to butcher it, but I think it's Adai or Adai. I'm not exactly sure. Ayo, it's Ayoadeyi. So I'm going to say Io Adai. But James Madison previously played for North Texas, as we said. They've got him rated at as an 87, which is a pretty good score. He's 5'7", 197. North Texas, he had 1,000 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. He averaged 7 yards a carry. You don't have to teach him the offense. He's a guy that can come in and be that scat back, third down kind of guy. Probably a similar type role, 130, 140 carries. Last year, he only had 24 carries. For James Madison, I'm not exactly sure. I think he got injured. Not exactly sure what happened. But he is from Mansfield, so Texas. So, obviously he wants to get closer to home. He averaged 7.1s a carry at North Texas. That's no joke. So he's got some explosive efficiency. He's a low center of gravity back who can hit creases, and he is fast, man, and he punishes bad fits. So if you over pursue or you misfit or you miss a line, he can make you pay for that. He's also useful as a change of pace kind of back. Like I said, if you want to bring in a guy like Caleb Hawkins for 2 downs and then bring this guy in either with Hawkins or rest Hawkins, and this guy can leak out and run angles and outs and and circles and be really, really valuable as a change of pace. Or you can hand it off to him on first or second down, if you're starting a drive, so there's multiple things you could do with running backs like this and also save on some of the tread on the tires for Caleb Hawkins or whoever your running back is. He's a kid that at the end of the day, proven production at a high level already in the American. He knows the coaching staff. He knows the playbook. And if healthy, this is the perfect role. This is a great pickup for North Texas or Oklahoma State. And provides immediate value. I project him to be a backup, obviously, but we're heavy rotational, either running back 2 or running back 3 for you guys next year. Now for the next big one, and I don't agree with the rating on this. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you guys. The other guy on the thumbnail, Kwazi Gilmer, who is being courted by every major school in America. I don't understand this rating at 87. But, he played at UCLA LA last year. He's an interesting one, man. I think, he played at Sierra Canyon, which is like, we all know who that is, an elite high school. Place where some of the best players in the country play at in California. I think it's in California, isn't it? Maybe it could be Texas. I'm not exactly sure now that I'm thinking about it. Where is Sierra Canyon? It's in California, isn't it? What state is Sierra Canyon in? It's in California. Okay, I was just making sure. For whatever reason, it just didn't seem right in my head when I said it. But yeah, so this is a kid that you absolutely would love to have. For whatever reason, I didn't have his stats in here. So let me get those for you really quick too. So last year he had 50 catches, 535 yards. And a couple touchdowns. It's not saying the touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. He averaged 10 yards a catch. He's a guy that I remember against Ohio State played really well. You look at some of the games he played in last year. Against USC, he had 10 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. Against Ohio State, he had 6 catches and a touchdown in that game. So he's a guy that was productive against really good teams. 50 catches on the year is very good anyway. I mean, to be honest. So you don't want to snip at that too well. Against UNLV, he had 8 catches. Looks like he had 4 catches against Maryland as well. 5 catches versus Penn State. 5 catches versus New Mexico. Man, UCLA was so bad last year. What a weird season they had. They started out 0-4, then won 3 in a row, and then lost the last 5 games. What a weird season that is. How do you win 3 in a row in the middle of the year and then don't win again? It's so crazy. And anyways, I mean, it's a tough schedule in the Big Ten. I get it. And they played Utah and UNLV in the non-conference. Anyway, Kwazi Gilmer, a good player. I really like a lot. I would personally have him up towards the top of this list. And the teams courting him should tell you all you need to know. Ohio State and others want this kid. He is the kind of player I think could make a monster impact. He's only a sophomore this past year. So he's definitely locked into a visit. And I'm told it's between Oklahoma State and one other program. So it's down to you two. So hopefully you guys get him. Now on to another guy, which we'll go to break first before we get there. We do have one more break, and then we'll get to these last couple of players right here on Locked On Oklahoma State. Stick with me. Of course, we can't go any further without talking about our friends at FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, guys, we love to talk about it because Fridays already feel a little different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited window where special offers drop right inside of the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern to become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip and make a move before the window closes, and the timing is perfect, man. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts, you can add extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We back. Segment 3, guys. Appreciate you all so much for being here and so supportive of this program. For real, I mean it. It's been really fun to get to know a lot of you guys throughout this. Johnny Dixon is your next guy, interior offensive lineman from North Texas. Previously played at Virginia Tech from my study here, but 87 rated, 6'3", 280 pounds. Obviously, he was an all-conference freshman All-American and an all-conference player, second team in 2025. He's an interior kid with experience and recognition also with the all-conference. He's built for combo blocks and pass protection is what I always say for guys like this that are a little bit smaller, 6'3", 280 pounds. So he is a strong cat, but he's really one of those guys that you're going to use in double teams and in pass pro type situations. 280 is not going to get it done in the Big 12. You're going to have to, I don't know. I don't really know his tape well enough to say that he's not strong enough, but to me, 280 is just a little undersized. But, at the end of the day, you get an all-conference nod at the American, you're doing something right. And from what I was reading about him, he's like one of those glue guys in the interior that really helps your quarterback in your run game immediately, especially working in tandem with other offensive linemen. You guys like my dance? Working in tandem with other offensive linemen. This is me with my arms out playing offensive line. But, so I think he's the kind of guy. The all-conference tag speaks for itself, and I think this, that's basically shorthand for this dude can play, and Paul quit criticizing him. So not flashy, but I think at the end of the day, this is a guy, every team needs a guy like this up front, glue guy that can really play. Another guy that you guys are bringing in that I could have put on the thumbnail and you guys would have bit is Devin Jordan, corner from Oklahoma. Another visitor that you guys are projected to get in. Not a lot of production, only 13 tackles. So, this is one of those guys that had if you look, he was a 4-star guy. Obviously, Oklahoma, they're going to all be 4-star guys. But you get to steal a guy from down the road. That's the best part. You're stealing somebody from them that they probably wanted to hold on to. Sure, they'll probably try to say something along the lines of, oh, we didn't want him anyway, or we kicked him out. No, you wanted to keep him, and you just couldn't. and now he's coming down the road to the better Oklahoma. And here we go, right? So, I think this is a guy that has upside as a nickel with some, and it can provide corner depth, especially in the right scheme. Watch a little bit of practice film of him before we got on here. He's got speed. He's got movement. He can play man. He's got power forward defensive experience. He did play in the games, and look, it's in the SEC, and he has elite speed. The notes that I read, he has 10 700-meter speed. That's elite speed, guys. So he's maybe a guy you can kick it off to, you can punt it to, and he's out of Oklahoma. He's going to fall off out of the tree and get an 87 rating with that kind of background to him. Maybe underrated. Here's another really fun one, I think. Coastal Carolina, which is there in Myrtle Beach. Which, funny side note to this, Myrtle Beach it's literally the only vacation spot you'll find most West Virginians at, just because of where it's at there in South Carolina. Like when I grew up, that's where everybody went. And it's a funny running joke about West Virginians. We all just go to Myrtle Beach for vacation. It's true, but it's a funny running joke as well. It's like, I think they call it West Virginia South or something like that. But Joseph Hansen from Coastal Carolina, he's got an 86.64 grade, 6'4", 290. He graded out nicely in his pass and run blocking grades per PFF, high 80s in run blocking, 70s in pass blocking, and he's got a true offensive tackle body type that can be a swing tackle. I think he's got room to add some mass at 290 pounds. He's another undersized guy. You guys better run a bunch of zone or something like that, or something if you're going to have guys this size. 290 is going to have. I mean, you imagine what Lee Hunter would do against an offensive lineman that weighed 280 or 290. And the Big 12 was only getting bigger on the defensive front, so we'll have to pay attention to him. But Joseph Hansen is a guy that will be visiting Oklahoma State as well. Masai King is another one. I really like this guy. Went and watched his tape. He has got the measurables, 6'5", 310. He's got that JUCO background that I really like, and he already carries that 310 around. And you look at him on film, he brings an edge. He's got nasty to him. He brings physicality to the table, and he's a really good target if you need bodies who can battle and practice immediately for a starting spot. This is a guy that you bring in that he's immediately going to bang heads with whoever's in front of him, and he's going to be mad about it, nasty about it. This dude's got attitude. I really like him. So watch out for Masai King. I wouldn't be surprised to see him crack your starting lineup if he ends up in Oklahoma State. So, maybe he's not a headliner, but this is how you build a roster. You have to have functional offensive line and defensive line depth, and that's exactly what he is. I project him as a backup with developmental upside to potentially be a starter. Last but not least, Tristan Exline, linebacker out of University of Texas, Permian Basin. We just signed one of his teammates at West Virginia earlier. He's an 85.50 rated player, and he's probably one of my 2 or 3 favorite on the entire list. On tape, he can run sideline to sideline. He's got size at 6'2", 215 pounds, 272 career tackles, 100 last year alone, 143 tackles, 19 and a half tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, Harlan Hill Award finalist, which is the Heisman, by the way, for Division II. So you take, obviously, the level of play into account, and so I do. But at the end of the day, man, it's not like he's 5'11", and he was undersized, but he did it. This is a guy that's got some power force size. He's right around that Jacob Rodriguez type size, and he's got that athleticism, very similar. This is a guy, I do think somebody's going to get a jewel out of him, a gem out of him. Will he be a, proven starter in the middle of your defense? I don't know. But, man, he has got a ton of proven commitment. He's visiting West Virginia. He's visiting Florida State. He's visiting Iowa State, and he's visiting Oklahoma State. You think all those scouting departments missed on this guy? No, they didn't. This is a guy that has talent. He's got upside. Hopefully he ends up in Morgantown, but I'll let you guys have a close second on him. I mean, you guys have got 15 other guys on the list. Can I have one? Can I have one guy? I'm begging y'all here. At the end of the day, man, you guys are going to be great. I think with him, if he ends up coming there, and he's got multiple All-American recognitions, 2 years in a row. He's been a Defensive Player of the Year, Harlan Hill Award finalist, and he's a freaking winner, man. Flat out winner. So you can't go wrong with guys along those lines. Those guys bring winning attitudes, and they get up and do every single thing needed to be done day in and day out. And you just can't say enough about that. So I think he could be a starter. All right. I appreciate you all so much for being in here. Like I said, I'm going to jump out. But until next time, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and positively share the video for me. If you could do that, it would mean a lot. I'm working hard for you guys. I'm trying. I'm using all the connections I can get, and I'm making new ones. So it's benefiting me too in some instances. I would just ask that if you can do me a big favor, the biggest favor you could do for me is subscribe here and subscribe at Locked On West Virginia. If you like the way I do videos, like obviously every video isn't the same. I have videos where I'm opinionated and try to be funny. I just try to be informational when it comes to these visitation videos because it's just like speed dating. We're going to be onto a new list here in a day or two. So there's no reason to get attached to any one player. We just try to get the information out to you guys so you can understand who's visiting. Sometimes we find out when, not always, and what the likelihood and what they could do for you guys, in my opinion. And outside of that, we're going to leave the rest up to chance. Hopefully you guys enjoy that style. If you have any suggestions for me, I'm always willing to take them and all that. But make sure you like, subscribe, the whole thing. Everydayers Club is important. I don't know how much Cody pushed this, but we have the Everydayers Club here at Locked On. Please make sure that you're checking that out. That's Locked On Podcasts with an S.com/Everydayer Club. And what that is, it's a Discord server where you can talk to me, you can talk to Cody, you can talk to other people like Drake Toll at Locked On Big 12, I'm sure. And it's a pretty cool thing, right? Where you can kind of be our buddies. And you can, if you got questions, we can do mailbags, anything like that you may want to have more answers to. We can certainly help. It's $5 a month, and you get ad-free audio. Like, sign up. You know what I mean? If you're still watching, why ain't you signed up? You got $5 a month. It's not going to break the bank. The link's in the chat. So check it out, man. And we'll see you on the next one. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. I can't be doing 2 a day every day. So I get a little worn out, but I will try unless something major happens. So if something major happens, I will be back. Until then, I'll see you then.